Well, hello everybody and welcome back to my channel. I'm in New York City right now, but tomorrow I'll be in Palm Beach. That's right, I've got a flight out of LaGuardia Airport and you're gonna come along with me. Let's go. See that plane climbing to the left from LaGuardia? Well, that's what we'll be doing today and exactly why I chose to see it on the left side of the plane. The left side is the Manhattan view side. As I ride into LaGuardia, most people are taking in the view of the city. I am too, but I'm also looking at the runway 22 approach lights on the bottom left, which traces the initial path runway 4 departures will take. But planes can only take off on runway 4 once runway 31 is clear. And in this instance, this runway 31 arrival is too close to allow a plane to take off on runway 4. Just imagine that we'll be part of this action soon where we can't take off until an arrival lands and the approach is clear. What a thrilling airport. Yes, these are the exact thoughts that are going on in my mind as I approach Terminal C, and that's what this video is all about. If you're new here, I invite you, the next time you fly, to put your flight in context rather than focus on seat pitch or legroom. I'll show you all about this in the video. Let's head inside the Delta Terminal. Okay, I'm ready to head over to PBI today, but I am more excited about our climb off of runway 4. I'm expecting the Bronx climb with radar vectors to the white intersection, and I've strategically chosen a seat on the left side of the airplane. Pretty crowded here today at LaGuardia. I'm gonna head over to TSA and then go airside. Beyond the remains of the demolished D terminal, I get a great view of an American Airlines 737 landing on runway 31. Arrivals have such an effect on departures at this airport since the only two runways intersect. For nearly every arrival, there's nearly one departure, but sometimes things don't go according to plan. That 737 is a go-around. It was way too close to that CRJ 900. This plane needs to get re-vectored into the runway 31 approach, and under the control of New York Approach Control, it's turning around over the Bronx. I was actually surprised by this, since its path brings it into runway 4 departure airspace. I was expecting a left turn over Manhattan, but it's being vectored north of the airport, then back around to the south, passing directly over LaGuardia, where it will then rejoin the RNAV X-ray approach to runway 31, the curved approach, somewhere over Brooklyn. This airspace is heavily used. A few thousand feet over that go-around is a Jazz turboprop climbing from Newark to Halifax. And to add to the already busy mix of airliners here at LaGuardia, corporate traffic still comes on in on occasion. I want to see more, and since I lost my Sky Club access, I'm headed over to the Terrace bar at the 70s gates. All of the arrivals are on a curved approach called the RNAV X-ray approach, like this American Eagle Embraer 175 coming in from Grand Rapids. This approach begins over Brooklyn, heading right toward the arrival runway, runway 4, but planes break off the approach around the Long Island Expressway to the right, then turn to the left around Flushing Meadows, Corona Park toward runway 31. This Delta A220-100 is arriving from the DFW airport in Texas, and it's over the final fix on the approach. It's called Dr. K, and it's named after Mets pitcher Dwight Gooden. This approach circles Citi Field, home of the New York Mets, formerly known as Shea Stadium. Hundreds of planes today will fly over Dr. K just before landing over Flushing Bay. This American Eagle Embraer 175 inbound from Raleigh-Durham is doing the exact same thing that the previous plane did, and the tower is monitoring them all to squeeze in departing flights between the arrivals. At this point, it's too late for a plane to be issued a new takeoff clearance, but a plane could be lifting off of runway 4 right now with safe separation. Here comes a Delta CRJ 900 operated by Endeavor Air coming in from Charlottesville. When this approach is active, I advise sitting on the left-hand side of the plane for the city and airport views just before landing. The Terrace bar is my new favorite official plane spotting place for this approach. From here, if you look all the way to the right, you can see runway 31 RNAV X-ray arrivals further out on the downwind leg. This Delta 737 is not just any arrival. This is the plane I'll be taking down to Palm Beach, and it's inbound now from Fort Myers. It's flying over 3 fixes while in sight: Darryl, Keith, and Dr. K. All 3 fixes help form a left-hand turn over the LIE to Flushing Meadows, Corona Park around Citi Field to the runway. Those other 2, Darryl and Keith, also reference former Mets players, Darryl Strawberry and Keith Hernandez. For years, aircraft on this approach flew at 100% visually on what's called the Expressway Visual Runway 31 approach, but that's been adapted into something more precise. I'm really loving this spot when runway 31 is in use for arrivals. This is also a great spot for runway 13, the same runway in the opposite direction is being used as the departure runway. But I'm done here for now because it's time to head on over to gate 67 to meet my 737. Today's gate will be in the newest part of LaGuardia. Well, actually, it's new in the sense that the area I'm headed to was recently reopened, but it's actually an old structure that was just refurbished. That's where the old temporary walkway was to get to the 60s gates. It's gone now. This walkway is brand new, and the most recent addition are some new shops on the right when you enter the old Terminal C. This includes a Magnolia Bakery, which started out in New York City in 1996. This entire space was built in the early 1990s and looks better than ever with a modern and fresh look. But I'm not here for the baked goods or tacos or burgers. I'm here for a Boeing 737-800, and following the signs to gate 62 to 69 gets me there. This is the refurbished concourse, and it's always an exciting moment as you get closer to your gate. This space is so familiar yet so new at the same time. I love the nod to the old LaGuardia here. My plane is at gate 67, and today's call sign will be Delta 2460. And here she is, the exact 737 we just saw on approach to runway 31 from Fort Myers a few moments ago. From this gate, there's a view of planes clearing runway 31. This Delta Embraer cleared runway 31 before the intersection with runway 4, so the tower was able to issue takeoff clearance to an American Embraer off of runway 4. If an arrival goes through the intersection, takeoff clearance cannot be issued until the arrival is clear of the runway 4 intersection. It's now time to board flight 2460 to West Palm Beach. But before we get on the plane, here's a message from today's video sponsor. I had spent a great day at the beach, and as the sun set, I drove away, but I realized that I had left my wallet behind. While this is unsettling, I was confident because I have an extra wallet with a tracker, so I used my phone to locate the wallet. My tracker says that it's right here on the beach. Using the Find My app on my phone, I'm walking in the exact direction I need to go to find my cool wallet, which is compact, has space for plenty of cards, and blocks RFID to prevent wireless theft. And with the tracker that I added to it, I know it'll never get lost. I found my extra wallet. I'm so happy I found my wallet. You know, it can be quite intimidating when you're at the beach trying to find something, but with my extra wallet and tracker, it made everything so easy. Now, if you're interested in an extra product, like a wallet or a tracker, there's a link in the description below. Click on the link and enter code MASELLA for savings. That's MASELLA. Oh boy, am I excited about that departure off of runway 4 today. Just think about that. Bronx climb with radar vectors to the white intersection. Headed to the back of the 737-800 today. Here's to a well-aligned window. All right, I'm on the left-hand side of the airplane, strategically, of course. The left side was chosen because after departure, we'll fly the Bronx climb, which calls for a left turn to north after takeoff. Then, radar vectors to the white intersection also calls for left-hand turns, meaning Manhattan will be on the left side of the plane as we head south toward the Sunshine State. From here, I can see more runway 31 arrivals, like this American A319 from Pittsburgh and this Spirit A320 from Dallas-Fort Worth. This American 737 is coming from its Charlotte hub. Once an American 737 cleared the runway, an Endeavour Air CRJ-900 took off for Raleigh-Durham on the Bronx climb. The exact instructions for this climb is to climb on heading 044, which is the heading of the runway, which is northeast. Then, when reaching 500 feet, turn left to 360 degrees, which is north. This puts the plane right up the middle of the Bronx, which is why it's called the Bronx climb. The initial altitude to climb to is 5,000 feet, but nearly all planes will be assigned something higher right away. Well, we're ready for pushback. Our goal is to get to the lineup for runway 4, which typically can be long since the controller never knows which runway 31 arrival will go through the intersection or not. Now, as a longtime LaGuardia flyer, I'm thinking ahead and thinking that just outside Terminal C is Taxiway Alpha, and we'll be taking Taxiway Alpha to the west, transitioning on Taxiway Echo to Taxiway Bravo to runway 4. I've been doing that for decades, but as we pushed back, I noticed something that at first I thought was quite odd. Instead of the tug having our nose face outward toward the taxiway system, we're being tugged around so that our nose faced inward. This made no sense to me, and with the new ramp space at LaGuardia, things have changed. The new LaGuardia keeps the same old runways and taxiways, and the differences are the terminals and the lanes around them. And today, we're taking advantage of the new lanes. So instead of just heading out to the FAA-controlled taxiway, we're going to remain on the ramp for 50% of the route to the runway today and use ramp space for Terminal B and come out on the southwestern part of the B terminal area. This is kind of like a shortcut because it's less time taxiing and we're not going around Terminal B on a real taxiway. This is only possible because 2 gate areas of Terminal B are standalone satellites, and we could hug the B terminal head house around the 2 concourses. And now for the most exciting and innovative part of this. This route allows us to travel under 2 pedestrian bridges used to bring passengers to and from 2 Terminal B satellites. This is a thrill and a rarity, and I'm happy that Delta flights with gates on the west side of the C terminal have the opportunity to do this. The view on the left side is the head house, and passengers seated on the right side can see planes parked at gates for all airlines except Delta and Spirit. Even though we're moving under our own power, this is really not considered to be our taxi. We're under the control of non-FAA ramp controllers, and we're working our way to a holding point where we will contact the ground controller in the control tower for clearance to enter the taxiway system to get to runway 4. We'll be using lane number 1 to get out. It's the closest lane to runway 4. As I observe this plane on runway 4, the pilot calls the FAA for the first time for taxi clearance.
Spot 1 taxi, Quebec.
Accept on you. Who's this, Spot 1? The Delta?
Delta 2460.
Delta 2460, LaGuardia ground, good afternoon, runway 4. You're going to follow the JetBlue.
Thank you, Delta 2460.
With 50% of our route complete, we'll now start a very simple taxi to runway 4. We're asked to follow JetBlue ahead. Spot 1 on lane 1 leads right out to taxiway Bravo, which JetBlue is on. Taxiway Bravo leads right to runway 4, so all we need to do is turn left on taxiway Bravo to runway 4. I'm surprised by the lack of a long queue because this runway configuration tends to lead to a big conga line of planes on taxiway Bravo, but it's light traffic today. And this is the likely reason why we're able to join the line where we are. Sometimes the line swings out around the terminals and we'd be forced to enter the long line at the end somewhere on the eastern side of the airport, but today is a super efficient day. We're taxiing by some of the old hangars at LaGuardia by Terminal B, and we're moving rapidly. I can't tell you how many times I've been here either completely stopped or moving along very slowly just because the intersection of the departure and arrival runways. It happens to be a period right now with low departure demand, and there are no airspace restrictions today. All flights in all directions are flying through areas with good weather and low demand. If 10 planes wanted to go to Florida and there were storms over New Jersey, there would be ground issues, but not now. I'm confident we'll be on time as I gaze out to the east to see arrivals to runway 31 and their turns over Darrell, Keith, and Dr. K. I like to see how close they are to each other to see if the tower can get a departure out if there's enough spacing. Before I knew it, we were next, and the tower told us to line up and wait.
That's 2460, LaGuardia Tower 4, line up point South 931.
Line up and wait, down report, Delta 2460.
Okay, this is it. Time for the critical moments as we enter the runway and wait. The JetBlue plane ahead of us that we were following is now taking off, and as we turn the corner, a Jazz plane checks in with the tower on the RNAV X-ray approach over Shea in Brooklyn, which is a reference to Shea Stadium.
And LaGuardia Tower, Jazz 542, RNAV X-ray 31, crossing Shea.
Jazz 542, LaGuardia Tower number 3, runway 31, clear to land, traffic holding on 4, wind 0106.
Very clear to land, runway 31, Jazz 542.
Now the JetBlue plane ahead of us is airborne.
JetBlue 2566, contact New York Departure, have a good day.
Departure, see you good day, JetBlue 2566.
Now, an Endeavour plane will call the tower and will tell us to be ready.
Tower number 5184, RNAV X-ray 31.
No, 5184, LaGuardia Tower number 4, wind 0106, runway 31, clear to land, traffic holding on 4.
Number 431, clear land, Endeavour 5184.
Hold in position, Delta 2460, be ready.
All right, we'll be ready, Delta 460.
Break up at 1047, there'll be one departure arrival.
Got it, break up base 1047.
The tower will tell an arrival to clear runway 31 before the intersection, and then we're cleared for takeoff.
Delta 424, left tango or Sierra ground point 7.
Take Tango and overground, F5024, absolutely.
Thank you, 2, Delta 1046, without delay, forklift takeoff, traffic mile and a half out, 10106.
Clear for takeoff, runway 4, no delay, Delta 2460.
Break up at 613, LaGuardia Tower, runway 4, line up point South 931.
Alright, 4 live way, Brickyard, 76
Without any delay, we start an immediate takeoff roll since there's traffic a mile and a half out to runway 31, turning left toward the airport now. We're accelerating quicker and quicker down this 7,000-foot long runway, and we'll turn left at 360 degrees once we pass 500 feet. By the time we lift off, the arriving plane that the tower referenced to us will be close, but not yet on the runway because we've expedited our departure roll. It's pretty evident today that there are more arrivals than departures. After being told to line up, 2 more planes checked in with the tower, and right now another plane is going to check in.
Tower United 2446, RNAV X-ray 31.
United 2446, LaGuardia Tower, runway 31, clear to land, traffic holding on 4, 10107.
31, clear to land, United 2446.
And now that we're airborne, the controller tells us to fly the Bronx climb, which means turn to the left and contact departure control.
That's 2460, fly the Bronx climb and contact departure.
Bronx climb over to departure, Delta 2460. See you.
We're over the East River on the Bronx climb, turning left up the center of the Bronx, climbing to 5,000 feet. So let's check in with the radar controller as we pass 1,500 feet.
Departure, Delta 2460 is with you, 1.5, climbing 5,000, left turn on the Bronx climb.
So 25, question, Delta 2460, radar contact, maintain 12,000.
Maintain 12,000, Delta 2460.
As we gaze at Manhattan off the left, we get clear to 12,000 feet, which allows JFK arrivals from the west to descend to 13,000 feet above us. Now, we're nowhere near that altitude now, but we can clearly see the west side of the Bronx. That's the Bronx River down there, which divides the borough into eastern and western halves. The big highway down there is the Bruckner Expressway, which runs from the Triborough Bridge to the south end of the New England Thruway. We're on the Bronx climb since we'll be turning to the south soon, but this runway also features a climb called the Pelham climb, which is basically straight out runway heading. This is used for flights that are headed more to the northwest, the north, and the northeast. They won't be turning left to the south. Speaking of the south, the large river that we see is the Hudson, and I'm curious if we'll be vectored down the Hudson or we'll turn wider and head south over New Jersey. It all depends on how busy the controller and our initial departure fix is. White. White is located near Pine Lake Park, New Jersey, and it's at that point we begin our flight plan. For now, it's a waiting game, waiting for the controller to just issue turns to us to head down toward White. We're looking at the north tip of Manhattan, where the Harlem River meets the Hudson River, and on the Hudson River itself, we can see the George Washington Bridge. At the bottom of the screen is the Jerome Park Reservoir in the Bronx. On the other side of the Hudson River is New Jersey, and because we haven't been told to turn left yet towards the south, towards White, we're going to be flying over New Jersey. Every time I'm in this situation on runway 4 on a flight heading down to the south, I'm constantly wondering, when will the controller issue us our left-hand turn? Now that the airspace is clear, the controller has us turn left.
Delta 2460, turn left heading 220, maintain 12,000.
Left 220, maintain 12,000, Delta 2460.
The 220-degree heading will lead us to the southwest in the opposite direction of the runway that we took off on. We took off on a 44-degree heading, turned left to the north, and now we're turning to 220 degrees, which forms a U-turn for us since takeoff. Since our turn commenced from a north heading, this will be a wide turn, and there's no way we can complete this turn over the Hudson. I don't mind, because keeping us over New Jersey will provide full Manhattan views from top to bottom, as long as the clouds don't get in the way. By the way, the controller told us to climb to 12,000 feet, but he already told us that once before, once we checked in. Perhaps he had forgotten, but it's always nice to repeat things for security, and since the controller isn't terribly busy at the moment, it doesn't hurt to say something again. Remember that the 220-degree heading is just a radar vector, and it doesn't bring us to White. That instruction will come from the next controller. White is shared by departing aircraft from multiple airports. For example, a plane departing from Westchester County Airport, which is north of us, may also receive radar vectors to White if it's heading down south to Florida, like us. Well, my seat on the left side paid off, and there's more to come. I have to admit that the window wasn't exactly the cleanest for filming through, but I'm happy I'm here. We can see most of the Bronx now, the namesake for the Bronx climb, as we get ready to level the wings for straight flight on a 220-degree heading. Thank goodness the clouds are only scattered today. Of course, views can only be had when there's no low ceiling. From here, it's like driving southbound on Interstate 95, only while climbing to 12,000 feet. I've been on I-95 south in New Jersey many times, and my eyes have always drifted to the left, hoping to catch a glimpse of Manhattan, but only happens on occasion. 100% of the island is visible during this flight to Palm Beach. By the way, I-95 continues on down right past Palm Beach, so we could take that down there too, but why would you do that when you've got a good old 737 to bring you there? As soon as we pass this cloud, we'll have some good views of Upper Manhattan, followed by Central Park. This is what most of the people who are actually looking out the window are focusing on, but I'm displeased to report that some passengers were doing things like reading or sleeping. How could they? I'm looking at Manhattan, but I'm also interested in seeing LaGuardia, the airport we just left from. I'll just have to wait a moment till we pass by some clouds, then I'll see it. In the meantime, because this is such busy airspace, before we get clearance to the White intersection, the controller assigns us another frequency in the New York TRACON to reach out to before we hit the higher altitudes.
Delta 2460, contact 124.75.
2475, Delta 2460. So long.
So long.
So long, but we'll check in a moment with someone else. When we check in with the next controller, he sees that the path to White is clear and gives us direct clearance to the White intersection in New Jersey.
Delta 2460 is with you, 11-3, climbing 12,000.
Delta 2460, New York departure, to direct White.
Direct to White, Delta 2460.
We're nearing 12,000 feet, and the wing dips to the left as the plane's navigation system tunes into White. What a great Manhattan view. I don't really need to explain what you're seeing down there. From this point forward, there are no more instructions in terms of turns, and after white, we'll simply follow the flight plan all the way down to Florida. We will, however, be assigned a higher altitude on this frequency, but that won't happen until we're clear of JFK arrivals above us, descending to 13,000 feet. This is complex airspace, and flights going to JFK from the west need some way to get to their destination, and the only option here is to keep them high, above flights like ours from LaGuardia until they're over New York City. Then they can descend lower to JFK. To get them lower, these flights will descend over the Atlantic Ocean because they need more time to get down since JFK is so close. That's the Statue of Liberty down there. I'm glad we didn't fly directly over it, otherwise I would have not been able to see it. As we leave Manhattan behind, we're afforded a great view of Brooklyn. Just past Brooklyn is the Atlantic Ocean. That's the area where the flights to JFK from the west will descend as the JFK approach controller assigns them lower altitude and turns them to get to the active runway. We can just make out JFK below the clouds. In a straight line, it's only a few minutes from here, but the descent and turns can make it another 15 minutes before landing. We're flying over Staten Island now as we continue along. Today we'll be taking a land route for the first half of this flight, then we'll head out over the ocean for the remainder of the flight. This is the most direct routing to Palm Beach, and there are no weather disturbances along the way. Sometimes this route calls for a path very far east or west of the standard route, but today is a normal day. Now that we're clear of JFK arrivals from the west, it's now time for our next clearance, up to 17,000 feet.
Delta 2460, climb to 17,000.
All right, 17,000, Delta 2460.
Eventually, the controller will hand us off to the high-altitude New York Air Route Traffic Control Center, where we'll get clearance to our cruising altitude and flight following along our route. I won't be providing ATC communications from the center. While it looks like we'll be flying over the ocean, we're actually just looking at lower New York Bay, and we can see Sandy Hook, which reaches out just south of Brooklyn. We'll have some great Jersey Shore views on this flight, and I'm keeping an outward focus as usual. After a short period over the water, we're back over land, and again it's over New Jersey, this time in Monmouth County. Down there is Atlantic Highlands, a Victorian town with a population of around 4,000. Down there we see the populated area of Red Bank, home to around 12,000. New Jersey is the most densely populated state and is also the fifth smallest in terms of size. Every county in New Jersey is considered to be urban. That's Ocean County Airport. We are now in the county where our initial fix of White is. We can proceed on course as soon as we pass White. Down there is Coyle Field in Burlington County. If those runways look different to you, that's because they're made of gravel. That's AC down there. AC stands for Atlantic City. It's the Las Vegas of the East Coast with its many casinos and hotels. Here's the Atlantic City Airport. Spirit has a big presence down there, and American offers bus service to the Philadelphia Airport, which can be seen on the other side of this plane. We're in South Jersey now, and down there is Avalon. With around 1,200 people, it's located on 7 Mile Island. The colorful water down there that we see is part of a sand and gravel company. That's the southern end of New Jersey down there. It's all Cape May County. On the other side of Delaware Bay is Delaware and its Cape Henlopen State Park, and just past that is Rehoboth Beach. With a population of just around 1,000, it increases to 25,000 during the beach season as many people have summer homes there. We're looking at Georgetown, Delaware down there, a growing town of 6,400 in Sussex County. The next state is Maryland, and I'm enjoying the views of the center of Salisbury from up here. We're now looking at the southern part of the Delmarva Peninsula. This part of the peninsula is actually in Virginia. You can see where we are here on the map. The peninsula leads to the Chesapeake Bay Bridge Tunnel. On the other side, it leads to the Virginia Beach and Norfolk area. We're flying over Newport News looking down, and we can see the Langley Air Force Base down there. Here it is up close. That's Naval Station Norfolk. It's the largest naval station in the world. They even have their own runway. When clouds start showing up below, many people turn their attention inward as if there was nothing to see. Not true. There goes a JetBlue A320 flying from Orlando to JFK, and here we have a Frontier A320 flying from Orlando to Islip. There goes a JetBlue A320 from the brand new Tulum Airport in Mexico to JFK. With a break in the clouds, I got to see the shoreline just north of Myrtle Beach. And here's the single runway Myrtle Beach Airport. It's very close to the city of Myrtle Beach itself with its many attractions. Back at the airport, we can see a Spirit Airlines Airbus landing on runway 18. And back in the sky is a Cargolux 747 flying from Miami to Luxembourg. I didn't see too much for the remainder of the flight, so we'll fast forward to the approach and landing at Palm Beach. Today we'll be landing on runway 10 left, and since we're approaching from the water, we'll need to fly inland, then make left traffic to the runway. Let's check in with Palm Beach Approach Control now.
Palm Beach approach up 2460s with you, 98, descending the 4,000 on the Clement 2, landing east. We have Quebec.
Delta 2460, Palm Beach approach, thanks, expect runway 10 left. And when you're able, clear direct to Dillman to resume. Direct Dillman, maintain 4,000.
All right, direct to Dillman and 4000, down to 4000, Delta 2460.
This is a very quiet time for arrivals to PBI, and even though we're far out and at 9,800 feet, we're cleared to a point called Dillman, which is very close to the airport. We're also cleared down to 4,000 feet. Dillman is a point on the arrival procedure for arrivals going to runway 10 left. It takes us inland, and then the approach controller will issue us a turn to the left to the runway. Our next clearance is down to 3,000 feet.
Delta 2460, descend and maintain 3000.
Descend and maintain 3000, Delta 2460.
Let's move ahead to the point where we're reaching the shoreline just north of Palm Beach. Remember, we're headed to Dillman, which meant we skip other fixes, which means that we're going to get in quicker than an approach day when there's heavy traffic. Personally, I don't know if I like getting in quick or just spending more time in the air. We're flying around the Jupiter area now as we take our shortcut to Dillman. The large road on the barrier island is US 1, and the canal is part of the Intracoastal Waterway System. Both run up the East Coast. Moving along further, we pass directly over I-95, which also runs up and down the East Coast. After that, we leave the heavily populated area.
Delta 2460, flighting 220 for your sequence.
Heading 220, Delta 2460.
Delta 2460, descend and maintain 2000.
Descend and maintain 2000, Delta 2460. And airport's in Cypher, Delta 2460, if it helps you.
Delta 2460, thanks. Your next clear visual approach, runway 10 left, and you can contact Tower 1 out for 1.
All right, clear for the visual 10 left, over to Tower now, Delta 2460, so long.
Yeah.
We were told to turn to the left, and with the runway in sight, we're cleared for a visual approach, turning on our own to the airport. All we need to do is line up with the runway, descend, and land. Again, I'm happy my seat is on the left side of the plane. There goes the runway. We'll be there soon. It's now time for us to check in with the control tower for landing clearance on runway 10 left.
Palm Beach Tower, Delta 2460 is with you, visual 10 left.
Delta 2460, Palm Beach Tower, winds 1703, runway 10 left, to the line.
Clear land 10 left, Delta 2460.
I love this close-up view, and if you look carefully, there's a plane going onto our runway about to take off. That plane will be out of our way by the time we get there, and we're all set and cleared to land.
Delta 2460, left Charlie 9, contact ground.
Contact ground, Delta 2460, thank you.
As per the instructions of the tower controller, we turn left on taxiway Charlie 9 and will contact the ground controller. It's going to be a simple taxi to the gate today as the terminal is very close to where we are right now. This isn't LaGuardia and there's no traffic in front of us going to the gate area. Let's check in with ground control, who's also located in the tower.
Houston ground, Delta 2460, going to Charlie 4.
Delta 2460, ground taxi to ramp Charlie 8.
Charlie 8, thanks, Delta 24.
We're going to gate Charlie 4 and taxiways Charlie and Charlie 8 will get us there. The flight is nearly complete. All right, another great approach to PBI. I love it. Well, that wraps up this particular trip. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you're not a subscriber to my channel, I invite you to click on the subscribe button, hit the bell button. I'll be back again with many more videos like this.